Hi guys, and welcome to the cmotion presentation as part of the Focus Puller at Work Chaos Show. So this is our second video of the day. As you can imagine, things are going quite chaotic doing everything, but it seems to be going reasonably well as expected. Unfortunately, we're unable to do trade shows at the moment, so this is a way of kind of filling the gap, giving you an insight to cmotion products, and the services that we have to offer. So a quick introduction to myself. If you don't know me, you haven't seen me at trade shows before, my name's Steve Chappell. I'm the sales director here at cmotion, and I'm currently here in Vienna with my colleagues, and I've got Dennis from product management as well. So if we have any questions, it'll be great if we can leave them towards the end of the presentation. And then if I can't answer, I've obviously got Dennis on standby to help me out. The subject that we're doing in this session is an introduction to the cPRO lens control system. We'll be looking at the hand units, the motors, the camin, as well as L-bus devices that are compatible with the cPRO system. And then we'll look at some of the other cmotion products. Now, we are doing multiple classes or sessions throughout the week, and I'll give you a bit more information about those as we go through and we look at the different products. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first system we're going to look at, and the basic introduction, is what we say the cPRO LCS. Now, the cPRO hand unit is an ergonomic hand unit, as we go to the top camera view here. So the shape of the hand unit means that your arms are in a very natural position instead of holding something boxy and having to change your arm position to hold it comfortably. So the A-frame makes it more ergonomic, and it's also very well balanced. You've got a nice grip, and each control is in easy access. The focus knob is concave, so it makes it comfortable whether you're using your hands or with gloves. And we have a slider here for the iris. Now we have our pre-marked focus rings that are available in metric or imperial, and we also do pre-marked slider strips. These can simply be removed from the hand unit and exchanged to match the aperture on your lens. Now, the features that we have on the cPRO system and all of the hand units, we have mechanical limits. So these allow you to set limits of the rotation of the focus knob. So simply put them into place and with a thumb screw, and they'll come round, and there's a little pin here that will simply touch, and that will stop your rotation. However, we've implemented a feature called the panic button. Now, this is particularly helpful if your actor misses the mark or you're shooting slate and you don't want to keep adjusting your mechanical limits. You can simply push down and override the mechanical limits. If you want to disengage this at any time, you simply push down and twist, and then it will ride under the mechanical limit pin. Put this back here. So a few more features about the hand unit. So we have user assignable buttons around the hand unit that you can assign to multiple features. This can be anything from autofocus to changing the marker rings or changing lenses on the hand unit. We've got 3 buttons down the top here, 2 buttons down the bottom, and we have a button here. So this button is, I would usually assign as a lens calibration or autofocus trigger. Now, some of the features we have to go through the menu, we have a TFT screen, so we can swipe through the touch screen, giving us lens information. So here we have a focus scale. If I swipe down, we have information on our lens. Swipe again, I have our zoom axis. If I swipe down again, I have an iris scale. If I swipe across, you can see camera information. Now, the cPRO system offers camera control for ARRI, RED, and Sony, and these licenses are optional for the cPRO and the cPRO 1 we'll look at in a moment, but are included in all cPRO Plus hand units. The information that we have on here includes the runtime of our memory, shutter, frame rate, ISO, ND, white balance, but we also have control of the playback. To access the controls, you simply press and hold the bottom button, and we can select and change any of the settings easily, quickly, and directly from the hand unit that's communicating to the RF motor I have on the camera. Other options that we have through the menu are assigning our buttons, setting the control and the speed and sensitivity of motors, and we have a tachograph showing us the relative position of the motor throughout the lens scale with our depth of field. Now, to ensure you've got accurate lens data, you can create a lens file. Now, this will be done assigning the motor position to the lens value, and this is saved within the hand unit. You can also send this file easily to a second hand unit if the iris, for example, is being shared or controlled by a DP or DIT. This can be sent and shared over the RF connection and then saved permanently onto the other hand unit if needed. Now, the hand unit itself, you see we have the touchscreen, but we also have the thumb wheel at the base of the unit. Now, this gives us access to the menu settings, but it can also be assigned to one of the motor axes on the lens, or if you're using the cinefade vari-ND, it can be changing the rotopolar or the ND gradient. It's also helpful if you're shooting in cold conditions and you can't use the TFT screen because you're wearing gloves. You can go through all of the pages using the thumb wheel at the bottom. Now, the hand unit has a haptic feedback that you can activate and deactivate, so you know when you're changing pages or pressing buttons, but it can also be assigned to markers. So, for example, on the focus, you can assign up to 3 markers, each with a different color, and you'll get a progressive haptic feedback when you're approaching and when you hit the mark. But these can also be assigned to iris, zoom, and distance. If we turn the hand unit over, we have a USB port here. So this is used for updating the software, but you can also transfer lens files. And if necessary, you can power the hand unit from a USB power supply, such as you have for your phone, straight into the USB port if the batteries run flat or they've been forgotten. At the base of the unit, we have a mounting point for the neck strap. And then at the top, we have another mounting point that can be used for multiple devices, including the C display and quick release for different mounting options. Now, one part and key component of the design for monitors. Now, a lot of hand units will have the monitor mounted on the top. This, of course, affects the balance of the hand unit, so you're always top heavy. Now, with the cPRO, we've incorporated this into the side of the hand unit, and the bracket will simply mount onto the side, giving you a well-balanced and ergonomic feel that is convenient for hours on end. So now we've looked at the hand unit. So we've got the hand unit here. This is the cPRO. So this is the regular hand unit that's got our 3-axis or 4-axis control. Now we're going to take a look at the other hand units that are available. This one here is the cPRO 1. Now, similar to the cPRO, we have the focus knob is exactly the same. We have the same features with backlit illumination with a witness mark, mechanical limits, and of course the panic button. Now, things you will notice, there's no joystick for the zoom and there's no iris slider. And although this is called the cPRO 1, it is possible to assign again the thumb wheel, to be an iris control or for the ND filter. So it still does all of the same functionality. You can add camera control to the hand unit as well. And also, if you're using lens data and a rangefinder, you can trigger autofocus in multiple ways. But this is something that we'll touch on more when we do the advanced cPRO session on Friday the 5th. The next hand unit we're going to look at is our top of the range cPRO Plus. Now, this hand unit will stand out with the color being stealth black with space gray elements. So it stands out from the original cPRO. The other advantage that this one has, we have internal torque adjustment, so we can adjust the friction on the focus knob. We also have 3 additional user buttons on the focus knob here. So these ones would usually be assigned for perhaps limiting the focus knob, triggering autofocus, or perhaps changing a pre-marked ring quickly without having to go into the menu. But this hand unit, as I said, comes with all of the cPRO licenses already included. So that's ARRI, Red, and Sony, as well as the data license and a new range license that is particularly helpful with C-Vision and other rangefinders such as FocusBug. So with the hand units, we can use multiple hand units within a configuration. So I can share between 3 wireless units. And what this will communicate with on the camera will be either a cPRO motor. So we'll have a look at this one here. So the cPRO motor has an RF module built in. It has an L-bus connector and a CAM connector. So the L-bus, as with all C-force motors, allows you to daisy chain multiple motors in the same network and keeps it very sleek and simple. Now the motor, this one here, is now supplied with the new cForce Mini Clamp Console 2, so it's much more robust and rugged, but this is a very responsive and very quick motor that really makes the cPRO stand out from the competition. Now, if you wanted to use, you had your own cForce motors and you didn't want to go with the cPRO motor, we have another option, which is the cPRO camin. Now the cPRO camin has got the same wireless module as the cPRO motor. It has the same connectors, the CAM and the L-bus. However, it does offer a couple of additional features. Now, when you're using a RED camera, for example, with an EF lens, this will allow you to control the focus and the iris without an external motor. But it also offers a client and host mode. Now, the client and host mode allows you to connect any other L-bus device, such as pan bar zoom or steady zoom, wireless within a cPRO network. So this means you can control any axis of the lens or cinefade variant D without a cPRO hand unit, but within the same network. It's also possible to use two cPRO camin together and to increase the wireless range of the system. And you basically have them between the hand unit operator. You'll have a base station with two cPRO camin, and then going on to the RF motor or another camin that's on the camera, which is particularly helpful when you're shooting with drones. Now, motor-wise, we have had a look at the cPRO already, but we'll look at the cForce Mini. So this is a very popular motor that was originally brought out around the time of the ARRI Alexa Mini. And again, the L-bus interface allows you to connect it to the camera, and it gives you a very simple daisy chain. So you can use short cables, keep it very small, very tidy, and very neat. Now, this is the same bracket, the new cForce Mini Clamp Console 2, so it makes it very tough and rugged and robust on the camera, so there's no risk of the motor slipping. Now, if you're looking for something stronger, then we can look at the cForce Plus. Now, if I just put these next to each other, you'll see the difference in size. And of course, the cForce Plus is not only stronger, but with the gearing is much faster. So this is an ideal motor if you need to do quick focus changes or perhaps changing the zoom in a broadcast event, or as I say, with any feature that you're working on. If speed and power is key, then the cForce Plus may be the motor for you. So what we'll do now, we will switch over to the camera setup where I've got the Alexa Mini behind me. Now, this will show us a setup as you would have it on the camera. So I'm using the cPRO motor here with the wireless RF as my focus motor because of the responsiveness. I'm using the cForce Plus because of its strength on the zoom, and I'm using a cForce Mini on the iris. Now, as you see, we're using very short cables. These are 30 centimeter cables connecting, so it keeps it very compact. And going into the CAM connector, I'm connected to the EXT on the Mini, which is giving me all of that camera information and, of course, camera control. Now, the additional accessories that we'll go into now, I would like to show you the pan bar zoom and steady zoom. So these, again, are L-bus devices. This is the pan bar zoom. This is a special limited edition, black edition that has white text on the black display. So again, we have a pressure sensitive joystick similar to the cPRO hand units. We have assignable buttons, and we have the L-bus. This allows me to connect to any cForce motor, which you can supply directly from a DTAP or RS power supply. So you can have a standalone wireless, standalone cabled solution. But when used with a cPRO camin, you can make this zoom unit completely wireless, and it will communicate to the motor on the camera. Now, to change a grip setting, we also offer the steady zoom. Now, this again is the black edition. You may notice the slight difference here. We have a different clamp. Now, this clamp allows you to adjust the side that the clamp is mounted, so we can undo and rotate round. We can adjust the height, we can adjust the angle, and of course the distance between the gimbal or the pan bar where you want to mount it. It also has two additional user buttons. Now, with the pan bar zoom and steady zoom, you're able to assign settings such as motor limits. You can increase or decrease speed, but also you can set limits on their recall markers, for example. So you want to have certain variable prime settings on throughout your zoom scale. You can then just recall one after the other by recalling and pressing one of the assigned buttons. Now, if I turn off the zoom control from my cPRO hand unit, I will plug in the pan bar zoom I have on the camera. So my zoom control is currently off. Just come over here, plug in my L bus. So now we have the zoom being controlled from the steady zoom, but I have focus control and iris control still available on my cPRO hand unit. So as I say before, you're able to have up to 3 operators working wirelessly within this setup, whether you're working with the cPRO hand units, whether you want to have the zoom unit for the operator with the zoom, or if you had another hand unit or a zoom wirelessly, you can then share this out depending on the setup and the restrictions that you may have on the project, on the shoot you're doing. This generally concludes the introduction to the cPRO. There will be an advanced session, as I say, on Friday, Friday the 5th. We'll be doing an advanced run through, going into the settings a little more about the lens creation and how to set favorites, and obviously tips and tricks. And there'll also be a bit of a roadmap, just giving you an idea of what there is still to come to add to what the cPRO already offers. So that will be, yeah, Friday the 5th, another session that will be 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock GMT. What I'd like to do now, before we go into any questions, I'm going to go through some of the other products that cmotion have to offer. Some of the other accessories that are also L-bus compatible that can be used with the cPRO system. The first one we're going to look at is the cVision. Now, cVision is an optical measurement system that allows us to measure 250,000 measurement points in real time using the 2 cameras. And this will be relayed to a tablet, giving us an image that we can select where we want the distance or the subject to be tracked. Now, as I say, this is L-bus compatible, so this will plug directly into the L-bus system and can be used with the cPRO system, and in the coming months will be introduced for use with ARRI systems as well. There'll be more about the cVision. We'll have a special session on Saturday the 6th. This will be again 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock GMT, and we'll have the system set up so we can show you the interface, how the system works, and the multiple ways that you can actually trigger autofocus. The cPRO system, different to many, you can toggle between on and off. We have a special catch function that allows you to take over manually from an autofocus. But these, we'll go into a bit more detail. If you want to know more, please join us on the next session on Saturday. Another device we have here is called the cDistance. This is a small display that is compatible with all the systems, and it shows a very bright and vivid green display that will come up on here. This is, of course, L-bus integrated. It's compatible with the cmotion systems, but also with the ARRI WCU4. So it gives you a very bold distance readout. Instead of having all the information in one place, you have this mounted onto a special bracket that's designed especially for the WCU4. The next one I'm going to show is this cvolution. Now, the cvolution system was evolved over many years to become one of the most complete 3D systems available in the market. Now, the design concept, it was modularity. So we wanted the hand unit to be modular. So all of the components can be removed and they can be added on. So I can add on extra sliders, for example, if I want to control interaxon convergence for 3D. We have options of a focus knob that's advanced or basic. This one has its torque adjustment, backlit illumination, and it has mechanical limits. And the zoom unit, although it shares the same design as the pan bar zoom and steady zoom on top, it has its own mount, so it can be mounted on the hand unit, offering a fully compatible 3-axis hand unit. Now, one unique feature about the cvolution is once you can remove or rotate the items or the control devices, you can actually have a left-handed variation with the zoom rotated around, obviously, and the slider. So it's the only hand unit that offers the same ergonomics and functionality for left and right-handed operators. Now, one thing I should point out is that cvolution is ARRI white compatible. So this means that the cvolution is compatible with the ARRI Alexa Mini, ARRI Alexa Plus, doesn't need to have another motor box or RF transmitter. It has the same as the ARRI WCU4 compatibility, being able to use with C-Force Mini RF motors as well. Now, if you don't have that, you will have something like this. This is the cvolution Camin 3M. So this is our motor box that has multiple connections. So we have three passive connectors here. So this would be used for the ARRI CLM motors or Hedon motors, for example, but you also have L-bus. So this will allow you to connect up to 3 C-Force motors as well as 3 passive motors. Now for 3D, the demand is not so high at the moment, but this is particularly interesting at the moment for wide field of view, where you can have multiple cameras and you want to control focus and iris at the same time. So this will allow you to control focus and iris on 3 cameras from 1 hand unit. It also has an analog connector that allows you to implement broadcast demands such as Canon and Fujinon, but that has been taken a little bit further with the next product I'll show you, which is the broadcast camin. So this is the broadcast camin. If you've been working on any music events and live events, you may well be familiar with this device. So this is very similar to our 3-axis lens control system, the Camin 3M. However, it has a potentiometer, which gives us the iris control, and it will allow you to pass the iris control through the fiber if you're working with Sony Venice or ARRI Alexa with the modifications or the Amira in a live event where the RCP can take the iris control and the operator will connect to the analog connector for focus and zoom. So it's getting that cine lens look, cine lens feel, but in a broadcast environment. A slightly different adaptation for that would be the ENG adapter. The ENG adapter is only for C-Force motors, so they'll plug into the L-bus device here, and you'll plug in your focus and zoom demands here. And this one has actually got the Sony loop. So this is for the Sony F55 and F5s, allowing you to put the RCP control through here without having to plug into the telecast or modulus fiber system. This will loop in between, and you don't have to set the iris through the broadcast camin. One little product here as well I haven't shown is our flight head adapter. Now, this flight head adapter allows you to do analog control when you're using a Russian arm, for example. It will allow you to plug into the control panel of the flight head, and you can then plug your hand unit in here, and that will pass. So we use the wireless interface, but it will pass the control of the zoom to the flight head control panel. So this is compatible with the cmotion systems, but also the ARRI WCU4 and the Hi5. Now, going back to lens control system, so it's last but not least, I would like to go to the Compact One. So the Compact One system, it's a very simple, easy to use single motor system. So the hand unit ergonomics, it's got the grip. It's got L-bus again, as most of our products do now, so it's straightly compatible. So we don't have too much of a menu on here. We've kept this as simple as possible. The brain for the system is a camin again, so it's nice, lightweight, compact. We've got L-bus. We have a standard motor connector here, so we can connect the ARRI CLM4s or CLM5 motors, and we can have basic trigger for start-stop for cameras as we can with all of the cmotion lens control systems. Now, one product I will touch on now, again, we're going to have its own demonstration video, is the cmotion cinefade Vari ND. Now, the cinefade Vari ND consists of 2 filters. We have a motorized filter and a static filter. And this again is L-bus compatible. So if we look down here now, so we have our L-bus integration. So this will plug into the daisy chain with the cPRO. We have a display on the back, which is the same as we have on the motor and on the cPRO camin. And in this configuration, this will act as a variable rotopolar. So this will allow me to change reflections or lighting conditions. If you're working with car commercials, you're on the Russian arm, for example, you want to look through the windscreen or the reflections on the car being creative. This is the system that you need. And this will be controlled obviously wirelessly from your cPRO hand unit. If we remove the second component, the static filter, and put this together, this now becomes a variable ND. So this allows you to dynamically change the ND instead of a camera that's got internals that will go step by step. This is a dynamic control system, allowing you to go from inside to outside and change it gradually as the lighting conditions change. Now, the main feature that most people will know the cinefade vari-ND for is the cinefade effect. Now, this is changing the depth of field while maintaining a constant exposure. Now, this is achieved by synchronizing the iris to the variable ND rotor. So with this skill, it's only available at the moment with the cPRO LCS system, but it's being used for live events as well as features, and it's creating a different cinematic effects and making you become kind of involved and getting the feeling of something. It's like a storytelling tool. Now, we'll be doing a session on Sunday, the 7th of November, again, 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock GMT, where we'll be inviting one of our community managers who's using the cinefade pretty much on a daily basis as a vari-ND, especially during these challenging times where you don't have the opportunity, you can't always go up to the camera, or if it's up on a crane, you want to change the ND, then this is the feature or the tool that will do that job for you. So that's an overview. As I say, most of the high-end or the pro accessories we will cover tomorrow. So tomorrow we will have, so Thursday the 4th, we will have a cmotion Pro accessory video or demonstration. We'll give a bit more information about these and some of the partners we've been working with. The videos will, of course, be available to download. So we're recording this now, and this will be available to view at a later date. But the real details about the C-Vision, so that's on Sunday the 6th, and the cinefade has its own session on Sunday the 7th. So hopefully we'll see you there. But other than that, I think we've covered most things. Does anyone have any questions? So please put your hands up if in the messenger if you've got any questions you'd like to ask, and we'll try to answer them as efficiently as we can. Still no. Okay, brilliant. Well, hopefully we've covered everything we need to. Again, thank you ever so much for joining us and the Focus Puller at Work, the Chaos Show. It's something new to try, and hopefully it's getting information across to everyone. If we all feel part of it, we're all missing the trade shows and seeing everyone. But thanks for your support. But any questions, please feel free to email us at sales@cmotion.eu. You can contact me directly at stephen.chappell@cmotion.eu. But of course, feel free to follow us on Facebook or Instagram and the Focus Puller at Work platform. If there's no questions coming through, then I think we're ready to close the session. No. Okay. Right. Thanks again, guys. And looking forward to seeing you again on the next one. So Thursday the 4th, cmotion Pro accessories. Friday the 5th, we're doing the cPRO Advanced and the roadmap of the new exciting features still to come. Saturday the 6th will be C-Vision. Sunday the 7th, cinefade vari-ND. Thanks ever so much. Cheers, guys.